Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we are diving straight into an explainer of something absolutely wild. We're decoding a highly specific, fascinating, and honestly pretty viral vision dated June 5th, 2026. It's a story that takes the surreal, kind of trippy world of dreams and crashes it right into the gritty reality of Philippine politics. We're going to unpack exactly what happened in this vision and, more importantly, how the person who experienced it translates it into literal, real-world events.
So the whole thing kicks off with a viral Facebook post by a man named Narciso Olalo. He claims to have received a literal divine message. Our goal today is to impartially break down the political and spiritual claims he makes, both in his post and in his own video breakdown, so we can fully understand the message he's trying to broadcast.
Okay, picture this for a second. What on earth does a slow-moving blue car have to do with the Philippine Senate? Sounds totally random, right? Like a strange riddle. But to really grasp Olalo's message, we first have to step into the surreal sequence of his dream before we can even start to analyze its real-world implications.
Right. Part 1, the June 5 vision. Let's just walk through the literal events exactly as Olalo says he experienced them, step by step. This is going to lay the foundation for everything else we talk about.
Imagine you're just walking down the street, and you find yourself following this slow-moving blue car. As Olalo follows it, he hears voices chatting inside, and he distinctly recognizes one of them. It's the voice of Senator Alan Cayetano. Then, out of nowhere, the car just comes to a complete halt.
The moment the car stops, the dream takes a really bizarre shift. Olalo looks over to his left and sees this group of men. They're complaining, saying their heads and hands are in pain, almost like they've been in a bad accident. But here's the catch. He notices their faces are entirely distorted, ugly, mangled, and completely unrecognizable.
Suddenly, the scene shifts. Olalo walks into a building with a massive table, and he calls out, "Ma'am, sir, here's some more viand." Oh, basically, "Ma'am, sir, here's some more viand," an extra dish to go with the rice. In this incredibly specific and kind of funny detail, Olalo finds himself offering grilled fish to the people sitting at this giant table.
And here is the absolute climax of the dream sequence. The people he's offering this grilled fish to? None other than Senators Alan Cayetano and Pia Cayetano, who are just sitting there eating. And right across the table from them is Senator Robin Padilla. Suddenly realizing he's casually dining with these high-profile political figures, Olalo feels super shy and out of place, decides to leave, and then he wakes up.
Part 2. Decoding the blue car. So, that's the dream itself. But what does it actually mean? Now we're going to translate these surreal symbols straight into Olalo's literal, real-world political interpretations. This is where things get really interesting.
It turns out that slow-moving blue car isn't just a car. Olalo explicitly connects it directly to the Blue Ribbon Committee of the Philippine Senate. He claims the vehicle is a literal, divine symbol for this exact committee, which, as you probably know, is the one tasked with investigating government corruption. To put this into real-world perspective, Olalo links this blue car vision straight to the Senate hearings that were ongoing at the time. In those specific hearings, former Marines allegedly testified about delivering actual bags of cash to various politicians. So Olalo views his dream as real-time spiritual commentary, validating these very investigations being spearheaded by the Cayetanos.
Part 3. The Faceless Political Rivals. Now, let's delve into the pretty politically charged claims Olalo makes about those injured men from his vision.
Remember that group of complaining, faceless men? Well, Olalo maps them directly to specific political rivals of the Cayetanos. He explicitly names figures like Soto, Lacson, Hontiveros, and the Tulpo brothers. He associates them with a faction that he says was trying to take over the Senate committee and basically block the hearings.
But you might be wondering, why were they faceless? Olalo has a very specific spiritual explanation for this. To him, facelessness represents people whose inner corruption runs so deep that God literally no longer recognizes them. In his theology, God judges your inner character, not your outward appearance. So their corrupted hearts made them completely unidentifiable in the divine vision. Part 4. A Feast of Divine Favor. Let's pivot back to that massive table where Senators Alan, Pia, and Robin Padilla were calmly eating their grilled fish. What exactly does their presence at this feast mean according to the source material? In Olalo's interpretation, they aren't just having lunch. He views these three specific senators as completely free from corruption.
In his own words, they have absolutely zero stain of corruption on them. Their presence at the table signifies that they are the ones specifically chosen and guided by divine will to do what is right for the country.
And he ties this divine favor straight to their actions in the real world. He claims these senators successfully defied their rivals' attempts to shut down the committee investigations. He specifically points to Senator Padilla, along with Pia and Alan Cayetano, for making sure those former Marine witnesses could actually get into the hearing despite some really heavy opposition. Because of all this, he says, they've received direct divine guidance. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Olalo essentially interprets his whole vision as a cosmic separation. It's a strict black and white spiritual division between two opposing political sides. You have those aligned with corruption and greed on one side, and those guided by divine goodness to protect the nation on the other.
Part 5. Beyond Religion to Goodness. To truly understand where Olalo is coming from, we have to look past just the politics for a second and explore his broader, definitely unconventional spiritual philosophy. It really shapes how he views the world and these leaders.
See, a huge pillar of his worldview is a really critical stance on organized religion. He straight up calls it a business. He claims religious leaders just use God's name to turn a profit off their members, and that simply belonging to a religion does absolutely nothing to actually save a person or connect them to the divine.
So, if religion isn't the key, what is? Well, he lays out a totally different path to salvation based entirely on your personal actions. First, he says you have to respect and love your fellow humans, no matter their status, gender, or race. And second, you absolutely must protect nature. To him, abusing the environment, the trees, the water, is literally disrespecting the creator who made it.
Basically, Olalo believes that salvation is all about how we live our daily lives and how we treat our surroundings. It's not about church membership or just reciting prayers. For him, everyday kindness, respect for others, and taking care of the environment, that is the ultimate spiritual currency.
Now, you might be wondering, why does Olalo feel authorized to make these massive political and spiritual claims in the first place? Well, we need to briefly talk about the man himself. He claims to possess a God-given power of mind that he's had since 2010. He states he can heal people, see their inner sins, and actually perceive spirits. Plus, he claims his visions are backed up by past predictions he allegedly made about huge events like Typhoon Yolanda and the Marawi siege.
And that pretty much wraps up our explainer. We've unpacked the whole vision, the political connections to the Blue Ribbon Committee, and the underlying spiritual philosophy exactly as Olalo laid it out. I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Whether you view this as political commentary or a genuine divine prophecy, how do our own personal beliefs shape the way we interpret the actions of our leaders? Think about that for a bit. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep learning.